round of applause for the from the audience today. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up with a conversation about commercial real estate. Over the last 2 years, since the pandemic, Texas has gained nearly 100 new corporate headquarters, and that has in turn spurred a wave of new vendors and suppliers, all looking for a proximity to the 2.8 million businesses that reside right here in the Lone Star State. This activity has put the commercial real estate sector into a tailspin. Office, retail, industrial, and large-scale land development projects are spanning across the entire state. And to make sense of all of this, today I'm here with two industry experts who had both cut their teeth at the Staubach Company. Brooke Armstrong, who is the president of advisory services for the DFW market for CBRE, and Jay Lamy, the principal and co-founder of Austin-based Aquila Commercial. Thank you both for being here.
Sure. Thank you.
So Jay, the first question is, let's start with Austin. It's madness.
Yeah, it reminds you of Vince Lombardi, that clip where he goes, "What the hell's going on around here?" And so, I think it, number one, it's in Austin, it starts with Tesla. And so, once Tesla, they pretty much make the announcement with at the same time as the pandemic that they are moving their gigafactory here. We're thinking there are going to be 5,000 jobs that are coming to Austin. Turns out that they're moving their headquarters here, and now we're looking at potentially closer to 20,000 jobs, and that's going to have a huge impact on Austin. And so what used to be kind of an office market, where the bellwether was office market in Austin was kind of the bellwether, is now, and they would lead the development all the way up until the pandemic. Now we're seeing that the office guys are carrying the lunch boxes for the industrial guys. Yeah. So we're seeing industrial development that is 2 times that of what the office development is. Mm-hmm. And so it has been, on the industrial side, on the office side, we would see, in September of 2020, if you ask what does this market look like, it was a really scary situation in the office market. Mm-hmm. We were looking at, there was a group that had a project under contract, and they basically walked away from $4.5 million in September of 2020. I
remember you telling me that.
Yes. At the same time, the industrial guys, are seeing vacancy rates come down. Mm-hmm. They're seeing, 20% to 30% increases annually in rental rates. Mm-hmm. If you had to sign a lease, or if you signed a lease 5 years ago and you're looking at a renewal option, you're looking at a potentially 100% increase on your renewal. Land prices are just going up.
Welcome to Texas.
Welcome to Texas. So anyway, and then that office project that I mentioned is actually, now that we are really kind of been through the pandemic, and Elon Musk announces that Austin's going to have the greatest growth of any city in the world over the next 50 years. That project where they gave back $4.5 million, now another group is taking it over and they're building it. So that's where we are.
It's crazy. And now, Brooke, the DFW market's a little bit different. We call it the headquarters of headquarters. Mm-hmm. And CBRE actually moved their headquarters. Tell us what's happening in DFW.
DFW is just not as cool as Austin. You can tell by Jay's glasses. We don't have Elon. We don't have Tesla. That's okay.
And it's burnt orange, of course.
Exactly. No, but what's great about what's happening in Dallas is we're such a diversified market, right? So we have a lot of headquarters moving here, which is fantastic, including my own company, CBRE, just over a year ago, which is really exciting. I would say if there's one industry that we could point to say that that's really driving it more so than others, it's probably financial services. So from fund managers like Fortress or Canyon Partners, which tend to be individuals making a decision, maybe it's driven by income tax, it's driven by many things, all the way up to the Fortune 500s, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and others are looking to Dallas to move here. Mm-hmm. So it's just a great place to be, and I think it's going to continue into 2022.
What is that doing to the market?
Well, it's interesting. We've had, I believe, 4.5 million square feet was under construction in 2021, 30% of which was pre-leased. I think a lot of that's going to be 100% leased by the time it delivers. Right. So it's just incredible how even the office market, which has, just like Jay mentioned, it's lagged industrial, certainly. We have a very similar story, but it's pretty healthy. It's very healthy considering, what's happening in the rest of the country. Texas overall has led the way back to the office. So I believe it's Austin 1, DFW 2, and then Houston in terms of coming back to the office. So I think, that's really going to set us up for a very healthy 2022.
Well, that's a good play on the conversations that came before us, and that is that you got multifamily, you've got residential, of course, and then you have commercial, and they're all kind of coming together. And you were telling me about a couple of projects that started at one and turned into another.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic, or prior to the pandemic, an office project that was expected to be an office project, it basically, the developers say, wait, we got to stop this. We got to look at doing something different. So they would go with they actually converted it into a multifamily. So long as they're not through their drawings and have spent a lot of money, then they can actually do that. So they actually ended up going multifamily. Well, now that same multifamily project that they are doing, now they're saying, oh my goodness, I actually wish we would have done office, because office has now, while the vacancy rates in office have climbed, they have now plateaued. They have now plateaued, and we have seen absorption in the last year of about 2.2 million square feet in Austin. So now we're in the development of the new projects in the pipeline. We've got about 4 million square feet coming over the next few years or 2 years. So if we continue with the same net absorption, we'll go from 13% vacancy probably down below 10%. So office is kind of back, and now the office and the multifamily projects are now starting. They're competing with one another again.
Right.
So,
and I think it's a lot of what was mentioned in a prior panel. It's a flight to quality, right?
Yeah.
So companies need to compel their people back to the office, because we're not really forcing people back to the office now. So a lot of new construction, and then what we're seeing in kind of the Class B product is conversions to multifamily. So we're in a housing crunch, as we just listened to, and so we're seeing, at least in Dallas downtown, at least half the buildings in the core of downtown are going through a multifamily conversion, which is really interesting.
I mean, it's interesting too that I think that you say they have to compel them. They do have to compel them, and that's where the amenities come in. That's where giving them flexible work schedules. But ultimately, people in Texas, they like other people, and so that's a good thing. And so it's actually probably one of the reasons why we've seen Austin and Dallas lead the way as far as people who are coming back, because we just like people.
Yeah, we like margaritas too, apparently.
We like margaritas.
So what's different this time around? I mean, the pandemic has changed things, and Dallas has always been booming with real estate. But I mean, what do you think's different this time?
It's a continuation of the trends that were already in place, but maybe one thing that's different is I feel like Texas cities are now on the global stage. We're seeing more foreign money enter the market than we ever have before.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen new buyers coming into the Austin market. Beacon Capital, just as they're in the process of buying 600 Congress downtown. Kilroy is first purchase. They're buying Indeed Tower. We've had Tishman Spire that's buying a project on the east side. These big national, multinational investors that are coming into Texas and coming into Austin and buying here for the first time. And I think that once that happens, we see a lot more activity happen.
Well, and these billionaires that you were talking about earlier is, Peter Rex and others. That, I mean, he was in the real estate industry, but some of these people were not in the real estate industry, and now they're getting into it. There's so much capital.
Oh yeah. I mean, it kind of makes you think of, William Wallace. They can take our lives, but they won't take away our freedom.
I'm going to put that up on the screen. Yeah. So, predictions.
Gosh, I feel very, very positive about 2022 and beyond.
Yeah.
I think if there's any risk out there, it's interest rate risk. It's potentially this great resignation in the labor market that we're in. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but right here in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, I would say the interest rate risk is something that we need to keep a close eye on, especially as we're developing. It makes it harder for developers to really underwrite, whether they should go forward with a project. But so long as there's demand, and I think there will be demand in Texas, I think so long as there is demand, that that will continue to spur development, and it'll continue to provide great returns for developers. The tenants may not be that happy, but at the end of the day, they will be able to come here in a really business friendly state, and have all of their employees. I think will be a lot happier.
And whether they all come back to the office or not doesn't seem to be making that much of a difference. So anyway, well, look, guys, I really appreciate this. I know there's